So hello guys, what's up and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, your girl barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. Today's story is coming all the way from Zimbabwe, but it will come with plenty of vital information and education, as well as plenty of lessons that will be of immense benefit to everyone, whether male or female, regardless of your demographics. This video will be priceless. In fact, it is a must watch. So watch till the end, and if you're new here or you're watching without subscribing, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up already. Drop your comments as we proceed. Stay glued because there's always so much more coming your way. 34-year-old Stacy was married to Mr. Emmanuel Tafatswa. They had 2 kids together, 2 little kids, and they decided at Gweru Nkoba, there in central Zimbabwe. On this fateful day, Saturday the 10th of February 2024, Stacy, this mother and wife, had left home around 7 p.m. to church. She went for an all-night prayer session as she usually does. Reports have it that Stacy was a devoted prayer warrior. She would go for all-night church service every now and then, praying for herself, her husband, and her family. And she would typically go in the evening, late in the evening, and return home early the next morning. So this day was not any different. She had gone as usual, leaving her 2 little children under the care of their father, her husband. The rumor is that whenever Stacy goes for this all-night program, her husband will bring in his lover, his side chick, his girlfriend Firi, right into their home and into their matrimonial bed for an all-night session of hot sexual romp. So on that fateful day, as soon as she left, her husband went out, leaving the children alone, and then returned home in company of this his side chick, Firi. He brought her into his matrimonial bed as usual, but that day was very far from usual. A neighbor who had been noticing all that was happening immediately called Stacy and tipped her off, notifying her of the present state of things happening in her home. So Stacy dashed out of church and rushed back home. She arrived her residence by 10 p.m. that night. The truth is that her husband was not expecting her to be back home that early. They were right on her matrimonial bed, intensely engaged in sexual intercourse, right in the heat of passion, much to the shock, disgust, and chagrin of Stacy. And immediately she beheld this sight, oh God, immediately she set her eyes on them, she lost it. All the Christianity, all the midnight prayer, all the speaking in tongues flew out of the window, and she charged like a possessed wild bull. She sprang out of the room like a bat out of hell, grabbed the knife, but somehow her husband was able to wrestle the knife out of her hands. As he stepped aside to quickly keep the weapon away, far from her reach and far from her grip, Stacy managed to grab another knife and then viciously pounced on Firi, stabbing her multiple times all over her body. She had already done great damage before her husband was able to pull her away. At this point, Firi, the side chick, was already badly injured. With multiple stab wounds all over her body, she was bleeding profusely. In a flight for life mode, she was able to escape out of the house, gushing profusely, weak, losing energy, losing blood. She managed to scale the fence and began running down the street, trying to get help, trying to get away from the scene, but she didn't make it too far. She had lost plenty of blood, and so she collapsed on the floor and she died. Her body was picked up and deposited at the morgue in Gweru Provincial Hospital. The wife, Stacy, on the other hand, was arrested by the police and is currently in police detention pending her trial. This story has thrown the internet in disarray, with 2 major theories springing up. The first set of people believe that Stacy acted irrationally and criminally and must be held accountable for first-degree murder. They believed that she had no right at all, to leave her husband, who she was in a committed relationship with, who owes her all the fidelity and all the loyalty. She spared her husband, who disrespected her by bringing his concubine into their matrimonial bed and then attacked the lady. They bemoaned this culture of married women going after their husband's side chicks without addressing their own husbands who they are in the marriage with. They explained that it's not like she had the right to kill or hurt anybody at all, but why in the world will she leave her husband and then begin attacking the side chick, empowering your cheating husband and then taking out your frustration on another person that does not owe you jack? They were furious. They were like, once infidelity is mixed with disrespect, there is nothing left. Pack up whatever is left of your dignity and take a walk. Why ruin your life? Why commit yourself to decades of imprisonment because of a man who would have another Jane warming his bed the very next week while you rot in prison? Is it worth it? They were very livid with Stacy and demanded that she spends the rest of her life, in fact the maximum punishment. If the maximum punishment for murder in Zimbabwe is a death penalty, then she should face the death penalty. If it's life imprisonment, then she should have the rest of her life committed in prison custody. They insist that there is no justification for what Stacy did to the side chick Philly. On the other hand, these other set of people were like, no. You can't blame the wife that went to church to pray for a husband only to come back and find him pants down with another woman in her home. It's not about fighting for the man. It's the sheer disrespect, the utter humiliation, the shock, and no one, absolutely no one, knows exactly how they would act or react when confronted by a shocking eyesore like this. I mean, how many people can take it? You went to church to pray for your family as a virtuous woman, to pray for your husband, and you left your children, your underage children, in the care of your man, their father. And he abandoned them to go fetch his side chick into her home. Is it that the side chick didn't look around to see that that was a married woman's house? How dare she bring her infidelity into somebody's matrimonial bed? They said for them, they have no blame at all for Stacy. So before we go on, do drop your thoughts on these two different schools of thoughts. Are you for the first school of thoughts, who believe that Stacy is 100% responsible and must atone for her crimes with the maximum punishment? Or are you on the other side, who believe that anybody confronted in that kind of situation can do similarly or even worse? Drop your feelings and feedback down in the comment section. So that brings us to a very crucial part of this video. Legally speaking, let us address the issue of provocation once and for all, because it has been used loosely, wrongly, and ignorantly on social media. So let me enlighten us. Provocation in criminal law is a defense. I'll let you know why I put the defense in quotes later on as I explain. But provocation is a defense where a person commits a wrongful act that deprived an ordinary person the power of self-control. Are you following me? So a person is considered to have acted out of provocation in law when the criminal act happened as a result of a preceding set of events that might cause a reasonable person to lose self-control. Provocation arises anger or animosity in a person, causing them to respond in the heat of the moment and in the heat of passion. So it makes them less morally culpable than if the act was well thought out, premeditated, or carried out of spite or malice. Provocation can be either through words or through actions. So this defense of provocation does not just operate in a vacuum. There are several critical elements that must exist for the defense of provocation to stand or hold water in any court of law. And this was extensively covered by Section 318 of the Criminal Code. For the defense of provocation to hold, the act must have occurred or happened in the heat of passion. 2. No breakage of events must have happened. There must have been no time to cool off for passion to have cooled before that act was carried out. Now, I'm going to explain these two together because they are very similar. So for a defense of provocation to hold, that thing that you did to hurt or kill that other person must have happened immediately after that provocation was caused. So if somebody provokes you and you go home and come back to hurt the person, that is not provocation. That act is premeditated because there was time for passion to cool. If somebody offends you over the phone and you drive to the person's apartment and you hurt the person, that is not provocation. If your husband tells you that he has a side chick somewhere that has a baby for him and you are shocked, you are crying, then 3 days later you hurt him, pour something on him, that is not provocation. That is well thought out, well premeditated act of crime brought about by spite or malice. And the defense of provocation cannot come into play here. The third element that must exist before you even mention provocation in any court is that the retaliation must be proportionate to the provocation. So somebody cannot tell you you are very stupid or you are a fool, and you carry a double-barrel gun and shoot the person and go to court and say you were provoked. Your action that was brought about by provocation must weigh pari passu, must be commensurate, must be proportionate to the act of provocation. And I'm sure you're wondering, how do we measure this? This is immeasurable. For this, the court employs the use of the reasonable man test. So the court would analyze it based on reasonability. What is reasonable under this circumstance? So it is an objective test, not subjective to you. So what might be reasonable to you? You can say, oh, if a woman insults my mother, that is enough reason for me to carry an iron rod and break her head. That may be reasonable to you, but the court will take no cognizance of your personal sensitivities. General reasonability is what the courts will take into account. So in this case, the first two elements can be said to be covered. Yes, it was done in the heat of passion. Yes, there was no time for her to have cooled off. But number 3 becomes debatable. And today, I'm going to call you all my subscribers to bar. Let us have your own perspectives. Do you consider Stacy's act of stabbing her husband's side chick, who she found naked in her matrimonial bed, proportionate to the acts of her husband and the side chick? Or do you believe that it is not commensurate? She acted overboard. She acted extremely and inordinately. What are your thoughts? If you were the judge, what will be your take on this issue of proportion of actions? Let us get your thoughts and feedback down in the comment section. So I felt the need to enlighten you. It's always my pleasure to do so. I hope you're subscribed here because there is so much you're going to learn. Both the trending topics, the legal implications, moral counseling, so many things. There's so much to benefit from here. So if you get to subscribe, if you've been watching me without subscribing, or if you're new here, do hit the subscribe button. So I felt the need to enlighten us because I have seen some comments born out of ignorance saying she can plead provocation. She can say she was provoked and the court would release her. She cannot go to jail. Well, no, that is not how the law works. No law anywhere in the world will endorse your anger over the life of another human being. And please take note that there is no claim of provocation, no matter how beautifully sculptured it was presented or it is presented, can ever justify the killing of a human being, the killing of another human being. No judge, no courts, no trial will discharge and acquit you because you pleaded provocation. So that is why I used provocation as a defense in quotes, because it is not a defense in its entirety. It is merely a mitigating factor, a mitigating claim. What is mitigating? Something that makes a big something become a bit smaller. So provocation as a defense can only be used to lighten a sentence, especially in a murder charge. It can reduce the charge and the sentence instead of murder to maybe manslaughter, maybe involuntary manslaughter. So the punishment will be abated, mitigated, but it will never completely exculpate you from retribution. You will pay for your crimes. And that is why it is constantly pleaded. It is constantly preached. Do not let your anger get the best of you, because when that anger goes, the consequences of your actions will still remain. It will not go. Do not ruin your life and ruin your children's life over a man that will get married to another woman before the doors of your prison cell is completely shut. You will regret it. You will regret it. And then he'll bring in another woman that will maltreat your children and enslave them while you are rotting in jail. Is it really worth it? So in this case, there is every chance and possibility that this woman, Stacy, will spend years and years and years of her life behind bars in a state penitentiary, only except if the defense of self-defense comes up, and that would need full corroboration of her husband. Self-defense is a defense that can completely free you from an offense. We will discuss that in another video. I hope we have gotten the lessons from this story. Do drop all your thoughts down in the comment section. There are no right or wrong answers. Tell us how you feel about this situation and what the law says, and Stacy's action, her husband's action, Emmanuel, and everything about this case. Share down in the comment section. So guys, yes, we have come to the end of today's video. If you're new here, you're seeing me for the first time, or you're watching without subscribing, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, drop all your thoughts and feelings down in the comment section, turn on your bell notifications, and stay glued because we have so much more coming your way. Don't also forget to follow me on Instagram at Nezeville and at Nezepeperempe. It's me, your girl Barrister Neze, and this is Nezeville. I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye.